Hey guys, so we're doing a film analysis on two scenes from Scott Pilgrim versus the World. The first scene is the barista scene, so let's go ahead and take a look at that.
Can I get a decaf today? Stop, Pilgrim! What did you do with my sister?
So, what can I get you?
Is there anywhere you don't work?
They're called jobs, something a f***ball like you would know anything about. And by the way, I can't believe you asked Ramona out after I specifically told you not to do that.
How are you doing that with your mouth?
Never mind how I'm doing it. What do you have to say for yourself?
Can I get a caramel macchiato?
You know what? Maybe it's high time you took a look in the mirror before you wreak havoc on another girl.
Me? Recap?
And speaking of, you want to hear the girl that kicked your heart in the ass is walking the streets of Toronto again.
So I can just get my coffee over here?
Sorry that got a little crazy last night.
Yeah, you kind of disappeared.
Yeah, I do that. Listen, I know I can be hard to be around sometimes. I totally understand if you don't want to hang out anymore.
No, I want to hang. It's, the whole evil ex-boyfriend thing.
Exes.
It's no biggie. I know it's early, but I don't think anything can get in the way of how I shit. My ex.
The big one?
Mm-hmm. Envy.
Excuse me.
Your hair's getting shaggy.
Yeah?
So, that's Ramona.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm jealous.
You're jealous?
I'm allowed.
You left me for that cocky pretty boy.
You haven't even seen him.
I know, you left me for someone I've never even seen.
Maybe you will see him. We're playing these Palace. You should so totally come.
That's so not going to happen.
Great. You're so on the list.
Caramel macchiato.
Okay, so this barista scene is a very crazy scene. This is when Scott goes to meet his sister at the coffee shop, and she is doing some weird things with her mouth, and it's really funny. So let's dive into the missing scene. The acting, first of all, the sister, she's very angry, and she plays the role really well. She's like the evil eyes, and Scott's very confused. And then his ex-girlfriend walks in, and she is just the most like standoffish girl you ever meet, and it really plays to the role of how she left him. You learn about the backstory of how they broke up, and the makeup. Only person who really wears makeup is the ex-girlfriend, because she is a superstar. She has the red lips and the powdered face. The barista, she's obviously working, so she can't wear pounds of makeup. And the guy, I mean, he can't really wear makeup. That's kind of strange. And Ramona, she doesn't really have any makeup, but her costume is specific because her hair is blue now, and it constantly changes back and forth in different colors all the time, which she makes note of in one of the scenes. The other costume we'll talk about is the ex-girlfriend. If you look in the back when you first see her, you see that she's wearing the same outfit as the one in the poster, which is kind of strange because it's showing that she's really cocky, she's really conceited, that she wants to wear the same thing and be known from the girl's poster, which really plays into knowing who she is. And the lighting. The lighting in this scene is very natural lighting. This is a full lit coffee shop. I mean, it's not going to be dark, and it's obvious that it's natural lighting because of the windows letting light go through. The cinematography. There were a lot of interesting shots in this scene. One of my favorite was the tracking shot that turned into a zoom from Ramona to the ex-girlfriend when she's turning her head. Because you see, you're looking from over the shoulder at Ramona, and then you turn the camera as she turns her head. So almost as you're seeing exactly the same thing as Ramona is seeing. Also, the conversations back and forth. Very typical, almost interview style, where it's over the shoulder here, full shot of her face, full shot of his face, which really adds on to the scene. The editing, the cuts back and forth are like a typical conversation. And one thing I think is really funny is the bleeping boxes on the barista's face. It's really odd because it adds like the funny like comic book scene, like part of the movie. And when she's talking, she has this black box come over her face, which indicates that she's cussing, because then you hear the beeping sound. And it's really funny. I enjoyed that. And there are a lot of slow zooms. And I think it's a lot of editing zooms because the speed of the zoom is really slow because it's already at a close up of a person's face, and it slowly zooms in even more, which just intensify the moment and add to just the shot. And the last part is the sound. The sound is it's a very typical like coffee shop sound. They add the extra steam blowing here and the sound of pouring of coffee, and you hear like the low chatter in the back. But the sound is really funny to me is the bleeping sound of the girl's face. It changes from time to time. It's not this typical beep. It's like zinger over here and buzz over there, and it really just adds on to the comedy of the show, of the shot, because it's supposed to be a funny yet intense scene, which really works well for it. And so the next scene we're going to see is the bi-furious scene, and so let's go ahead and take a look at that.
This ex-boyfriend's thing is messing with my head. Exes. Why do you keep saying that? Girl from earlier? Roxy? You know this girl?
Oh boy, does she know me.
What is she talking about?
He really doesn't know.
Wait. You and her?
It was just a phase.
Just a phase?
You had a sexy face?
It meant nothing. I didn't think it would count.
It meant nothing?
I was just a little bi-curious.
Well, honey, I'm a little bi-furious!
Do that again, and I will end you.
Back off, Haspian! If Gideon can't have you, no one can. The lead has spoken!
Well, then Gideon best get his pretentious ass up here, because I'm about to kick yours out of the Great White North.
Moss? This is happening, right? Oh, yeah. Kick her in the balls!
I'm sending you back to Gideon in 1,000 pieces, you slag!
I'd rather be dead than go back. He's a creep, you're a bitch, and you all deserve each other.
Give it a rest, Ramona. This is a league game.
Meaning?
Meaning your precious Scott must defeat me with his own fists.
I don't think I can hit a girl.
Okay, so this is a very interesting scene as well. It's when they're at the club and Ramona's ex-girlfriend comes onto the shot, and she is infuriated, and they battle, and it's a really funny scene. And so let's go ahead and talk about the mise en scene, the acting. The ex-girlfriend in this shot, in the scene, is just, this child's crazy. I mean, like, it was done well, the way she portrays, like, the bi-furious face, because she is just wilding out. And Scott in this is really funny because he's so, like, shell-shocked the entire time, because he's always been expecting, like, this girl to be a completely heterosexual female, and she's actually bi-curious now, which really throws him off, because if you hear him say, Cole says your ex-boyfriends, then she would correctly say exes, and you always wonder why she would say that, but now you know why. And Ramona, she's very calm, and it seemed like she knew it was going to happen. The costumes. The ex-girlfriend in this scene, she's wearing all black, and it really shows that she is, her head's messed up somewhere, and she's just going crazy. And you see Scott's wearing the same typical outfit, the coat, and then the hat, which is actually the motif in this movie, which is the hat, because it symbolizes the pain that he had, because his girlfriend, ex-girlfriend talked about his scruffy hair, and he always used to wear a hat. He uses a hat now to cover it up. And Ramona, her costume, right now she is just wearing her typical clothes, and her hair is still blue in this scene, which is kind of little continuity, because it does change, but it still has still the same little bit. The makeup, not really much makeup except for the ex-girlfriend. She has the black under her eyes, and then you have, I guess, the natural makeup for Ramona, and Scott wears very little. The cinematography, this was a very interesting scene. The shots in here were just awesome, because using the action scene, you have the cool, interesting shots. In this one, you have one of my favorite was the bird's eye, Ramona doing the backflip. It was a very awesome shot, because she is coming to actually kick the girl, and she does this backflip into the air, And so you get a bird's eye shot of looking down at everything, and you see this Ramona's like flip going off in the air, which is really awesome. And I think another one was the extreme low angles when Scott was first knocked down. When you see he's looking up and you see the lighting over the ex-girlfriend's face, and you see her walking over, but you're looking directly up, which almost like throws you into position of Scott. You're seeing what he's seeing, and it's kind of intimidating. The editing, it was a lot of editing tricks in the scene. I mean, first off, the kicks and flips having an extra sparkle, Shazam into it, and then the overall just like putting in process, like the verses scene where you see Ramona holding her hand up and you see the ex-girlfriend going to kick, but it's like almost like a fighting game where you have the verses and like right before about the fight it's very intense, and they actually throw that in there, which I think is really interesting because it adds on to the comedy and comic book style of movie this is. And also the glass shatters from the disco ball. Another cool editing trick was that there were two pieces of glass and it reflected the faces and it showed them almost like glaring off at each other but not even looking at each other, which I think was really cool and adds on to the movie. The sound in this movie, it starts off with a lot of people talking, which I think is pretty cool that they make sure they had the ambient sound of them just chit-chatting, people around them. You have the music, like the bass, the music going off in the background, but it's very low and you can't hear it. And I think it's interesting how they actually fuse that in to the dramatic music that they have, where it starts off as this very bass-like sound of music, and then it turns into this very dramatic style, and you hear the beat and bass of it, and it's really cool. And the extra sound of the girls punching and blocking, I think it's really cool, and it adds on to the fighting thing as well, because it makes it seem like it's a very cartoonish style of movie, and I think that was just an awesome add-on to it. And overall, I think this film was a great film to watch. I mean, at first I was a little skeptical because I thought it was like a childish movie. However, after watching it complete, it's a very great movie. I mean, there's a lot of extra shots that I would love to talk about, but I don't have enough time for it. But just the overall movie was a great movie, and it was funny to watch, had a lot of great editing, a lot of great sound. It was a really great movie, and I suggest it for anybody. Okay.